Mexican officials now step up their enforcement. A remote base. You've got National Guard and you've got the Mexican Army that will rotate in 72-hour shifts at this location.
Breaking news and leaked footage revealed the bold construction of a border base in Mexico. Finally, Mexico is taking action against the cartels and the illegal immigrants. But the cartels aren't happy with this surprising step, creating more and armed engagements at the border. With Texas building their 80-acre border base for their National Guard, the situation is about to take a serious turn, with cartels earning billions of dollars, gathering Army-grade guns, and ready to fight. Stick around as we delve into the intensifying situation at the U.S.-Mexico border. Getting ready for war. In a mirrored response to U.S. actions, Mexico has established a powerful military base along the U.S.-Mexico border, underscoring its commitment to combat illegal immigration and cartel operations with if necessary. This bold step by the Mexican government, led by the president, aligns with initiatives similar to those of Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who is getting extremely tired of migrants and cartel members causing trouble. The base is a part of Mexico's strategy to maintain sovereignty over the cartels. There is absolutely no way they will let them rule without a fight, demonstrating a readiness to prepare for war against the dual threats of cartels and illegal migration.
Well, Texas is starting construction on a new 80-acre base camp for thousands of Texas National Guards on the border near Eagle Pass.
Similarly, on the U.S. side, Governor Abbott's initiative to construct an 80-acre military base in Texas further escalates the militarization of the border. This base is poised to hopefully be the end of migrant and cartel abuse of the border. Equipped with heavy weaponry and tons of troop deployments, it represents a significant ramp-up in border defense capabilities, signaling a no-tolerance stance towards the destabilizing activities of drug cartels and organized crime at the border. Together, these developments mark a significant escalation in border security measures by both countries, reflecting a mutual commitment to tackling these pervasive threats head-on. But why is this happening? Has the situation gone far enough to justify the use of heavy military? Stick around as we delve into the terrible abuse of the open border. Violence at the border.
Rival Mexican drug cartels battled just miles from the border near Roma, Texas. This is new video into our newsroom. Officials say the cartels were using machine mounted on trucks in a battle over a popular smuggling route.
The situation on the border has gone too far. With daily armed conflicts between terrifying cartels and the U.S. Army forces, citizens of the U.S. need answers from the government, and not the least Joe Biden. Mexican cartels, such as the Gulf and Northeast cartels, have entrenched themselves along various points of the border. Their activities include not only drug but also and The cartels use the border's porous nature to their advantage, smuggling vast quantities of illegal substances into the U.S., which fuels further criminal activity and corruption on both sides of the border. The escalation of cartel operations has led to increasingly militarized responses from U.S. border security forces. Armed confrontations between cartel members, who are often equipped with military-grade weaponry, and U.S. forces have become more frequent and intense. The continuous has severe repercussions for the local populations living near the border. Communities are often caught in the crossfire, facing horrifying physical danger. The fear of and is pervasive, leading many residents to flee their homes. In response to the escalating the Texas government launched initiatives like Operation Lone Star to bolster the state's ability to combat cartel influence directly. This operation includes the deployment of the Texas National Guard and state police to key conflict zones, aiming to disrupt cartel operations through direct engagement and surveillance. The needs urgent solving, but cooperation between the two countries' law enforcement agencies is often hindered by mistrust and differing strategic priorities. Hang around as we delve deeper into the affairs of the terrifying Mexican cartels. Mexican cartels. Mexican cartels are not merely criminal organizations. They are sophisticated networks with deep roots and extensive power. The cartels generate billions of dollars in revenue through illicit activities. This economic power allows them to purchase advanced weaponry and technology, bribe officials, and recruit significant manpower, further entrenching their influence in the border regions. These cartels operate like parallel governments in certain regions, exerting control over extensive territories. They engage in a wide array of criminal activities, from drug to on the local level, the presence of cartels often results in heightened violence, lawlessness, and fear among residents. The power struggles between different cartel factions or against government forces frequently lead to tragic loss of life and mass displacement of populations. But how will these cartels be stopped? Texas National Guard. The Texas National Guard has been deployed under initiatives like Operation Lone Star to confront the direct threat posed by cartels. Their presence includes patrolling, intelligence gathering, and direct engagements. This militarized response is intended to secure the border, disrupt illegal activities, and restore order in chaotic regions. Armed with military-grade equipment and extensive training, the National Guard units are well prepared for the harsh realities of border security. They engage in various operations, from surveillance missions using drones to direct confrontations with armed cartel operatives. The involvement of the Texas National Guard has led to some reductions in cross-border crime in their active areas. However, their presence is also a signal of escalating militarization at the border, which some critics argue leads to increased violence and confrontations without addressing the root causes of the problems. But what are the root problems? How do these cartels survive and buy millions of dollars worth of Army-grade guns? Smuggling operations. Mexican cartels have turned the U.S.-Mexico border into a crucial asset for their smuggling operations, exploiting the region's unique geography and political situation. By leveraging difficult terrain such as deserts, mountains, and rivers, which are hard to monitor, they establish covert routes and safe houses, minimizing detection. They strategically position these operations near key transit routes for efficient contraband movement and use advanced technology like encrypted communications and drones to evade border security. To counteract increased law enforcement surveillance, cartels deploy their own monitoring systems and use technology to interfere with official surveillance tools. They also corrupt officials on both sides of the border, ensuring smoother operations and embedding their influence deeply in local politics. Cartels exploit legal loopholes and run legitimate businesses as fronts for laundering profits and concealing their activities. They also integrate into local communities, providing jobs and services to gain social leverage, making it difficult for these communities to oppose them. This economic and social infiltration makes local populations dependent on and less likely to resist cartel rule. Operation Lone Star. Launched in March 2021 by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, Operation Lone Star marked a significant shift in Texas's border security approach in response to the increasing threats from Mexican cartels. The operation aims to address the gaps in federal border security by deploying state resources, including the Texas National Guard, state troopers, and law enforcement personnel, to combat the surge in drugs, weapons, and further, the Texas Governor Abbott has made his plans to build a 80-acre military base along the border very clear, marking a strong departure from silence and passivity. The governor has also made his belief of the reasons of this crisis very clear. It is the Biden administration at fault. Operation Lone Star expanded technological and intelligence efforts, utilizing drones, increasing patrols, and establishing checkpoints along critical border points. It also served as a political statement of Texas's commitment to secure its border independently. Despite its ambitious goals, the operation faced criticism regarding jurisdictional issues, the militarization of the border, and potential human rights violations. Critics expressed concerns that it might increase tensions and negatively impact migrant communities and local populations. Fronton Island. Fronton Island, situated in the Rio Grande, is a strategically significant spot in the U.S.-Mexico border conflict due to its natural barrier qualities and ambiguous jurisdiction, making it a hotspot for cartel activity and territorial disputes. Its dense vegetation and isolation make it ideal for illicit activities like and competing cartels often clash violently to control this valuable territory, which is crucial for maintaining the island's unclear sovereignty complicates enforcement efforts, allowing cartels to use it as a staging ground for operations. This ongoing conflict has severe repercussions for nearby communities, subjecting them to constant violence and disrupting daily life. The struggle over Fronton Island highlights the broader border crisis, where the fight against cartels is intertwined with efforts to reclaim territory and ensure community safety. The island's control is critical not just for the cartels, but also for the overall security and governance of the border region, symbolizing the complexities of border management and the persistent battle against organized crime. Expansion of cartel activities. The expansion and diversification of cartel activities have dramatically changed the landscape of organized crime along the U.S.-Mexico border, historically evolving from and heroin to include drugs like during the 1980s and 1990s boom. This evolution allowed the Gulf Cartel and the Northeast Cartel, a splinter of the Zetas, to broaden their criminal portfolios, which now include and enhancing their profits and influence. Diversification serves as a survival tactic, allowing cartels to withstand market fluctuations and link various illegal activities. For example, routes for drug smuggling are also used for while networks established for corruption support other crimes. Cartels have also expanded geographically, exploiting law enforcement vulnerabilities to enter new areas, often displacing local criminals through violence or alliances. This growth generates immense revenues, funding further criminal activities and corruption, thus perpetuating a cycle that challenges local, national, and international law enforcement efforts. The continuous adaptability of cartels poses severe threats to public security and governance, complicating the fight against organized crime in the border region. Tactical engagements. The tactical engagements between the Texas National Guard and Mexican cartels along the U.s.-Mexico border have become complex and hazardous, escalating border tensions significantly. These are not random skirmishes, but organized and strategic battles involving military-grade weaponry and tactics akin to conventional military forces. Cartel operatives coordinate to control key smuggling routes, while the National Guard, under Operation Lone Star, counters with enhanced surveillance, including drone use for real-time intelligence and strategic patrol bases. The varied terrains from dense underbrush to urban outskirts demand rapid tactical adjustments by the National Guard to effectively combat the cartels. Cartel members exploit the landscape, sometimes using advanced technology like thermal imaging drones to attack under cover of darkness, showing their capability and determination to directly confront U.S. forces. These confrontations underscore the increasing risks and operational challenges for the National Guard, marking a troubling escalation in the conflict dynamics at the border. The ongoing battle not only endangers military personnel, but also poses significant threats to the broader border security and stability, highlighting severe implications for long-term regional security. Human cost. The borderlands between the U.S. and Mexico, characterized by rugged terrain and fraught with the promise of a new beginning, have increasingly become a perilous gauntlet for migrants. These individuals, fleeing violence and poverty in their home countries, find themselves inadvertently caught in the crossfire of an escalating conflict that is not their own. This area, embroiled in a harsh reality where Mexican cartels and the Texas National Guard engage in armed confrontations, highlights the human cost of the drug wars and border security measures. As the Texas National Guard and Mexican cartels clash, often using heavy weaponry and military-grade tactics, the migrants attempting to cross into the U.S. face unimaginable dangers. Their journey is perilous enough due to natural hazards, like the harsh conditions of the desert and the treacherous currents of the Rio Grande. But it is made even more dangerous by the likelihood of being caught in or being used by cartels as pawns in their tactical games. There are heart-wrenching reports of migrants, including women and children, being injured or killed during these skirmishes. Some migrants are exploited by cartels, forced to carry drugs, or used as human shields, which compounds the peril of their journey north. Furthermore, the presence of military and heavy security measures along the border pushes migrants to take even more dangerous routes to avoid detection. These alternate routes often lead to fatal encounters, increasing the human toll of this border conflict. Amidst this chaos, the plight of migrants underscores a critical aspect of the border crisis. It reveals the desperate circumstances that drive individuals to leave their homes, only to find themselves in a deadly limbo. This situation not only signifies a battle against narcotics and but also raises serious humanitarian concerns. The human cost of the ongoing conflict at the border serves as a stark reminder of the broader implications of border security measures, emphasizing the need for comprehensive strategies that address safety and human rights, alongside the enforcement of laws. This complex scenario requires a nuanced approach that balances the imperatives of national security with the urgent humanitarian needs of those who are most vulnerable. It challenges policymakers, law enforcement, and communities to consider the profound human costs involved and to seek solutions that extend beyond mere enforcement to include protection and aid for those caught in the crossfire. Cartel Adaptation. The adaptability of Mexican drug cartels in response to heightened security measures along the U.S.-Mexico border highlights their chilling resilience and the complexities of combating organized crime. Despite significant efforts by U.S. and Mexican authorities to curb their activities, these criminal organizations continue to operate both lucratively and largely uninterrupted. This persistence is largely due to their sophisticated use of technology and deeply entrenched corruption networks. Cartels have increasingly turned to advanced technology as a critical tool in their operations. Drones, for example, have become more than just surveillance tools. They are employed as strategic assets to scout out patrol routes and identify vulnerabilities in border defenses. This aerial advantage allows cartels to direct their smuggling activities with precision, skillfully avoiding law enforcement interception. The deployment of thermal imaging and other surveillance technologies enables them to carry out operations under cover of darkness, further complicating efforts to counteract their maneuvers. Moreover, the strategic use of corruption is perhaps even more damaging than the technological adaptations. By infiltrating various levels of law enforcement and government, cartels secure a degree of impunity that is as effective as it is frightening. This network of corruption ensures that despite the best efforts of honest officials, critical information on operations and investigations often falls into the hands of the cartels, allowing them to stay one step ahead. The cartels have also diversified their smuggling routes in response to enforcement pressures. As traditional pathways become compromised due to increased surveillance and security, they quickly pivot to alternative routes, utilizing an intricate understanding of the terrain and leveraging both corruption and technology to establish new corridors for and weapon transportation. This constant evolution in tactics not only underscores the complexity of the challenge faced by U.S. and Mexican authorities, but also highlights the cartels' cunning ability to sustain their operations in the face of increasing security measures. This adaptability of cartels to evade capture and continue their operations poses significant challenges. It necessitates a dynamic approach to border security that goes beyond traditional methods of surveillance and interception. Authorities must innovate and adapt in their strategies, perhaps even faster than the cartels do, to effectively disrupt these sophisticated networks. The ongoing battle against these criminal organizations is not only a test of enforcement capabilities, but also of the ability to outthink and outmaneuver an ever-evolving adversary. Role of federal authorities. The role of federal authorities in border security, particularly in the context of Texas's Operation Lone Star, highlights the intricate dance between state-led initiatives and national enforcement strategies. This interplay often manifests as a blend of collaboration and conflict, with both elements shaping the effectiveness and legal contours of border security operations. Federal agencies like U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, have long been at the forefront of efforts to manage and secure the border. These agencies are equipped with extensive legal powers, sophisticated technologies, and comprehensive strategies designed to curb illegal immigration and other cross-border crimes. However, the advent of state operations such as Texas's Operation Lone Star introduces a layer of complexity to these efforts. From one perspective, state initiatives can complement federal efforts by filling enforcement gaps and providing additional resources. For example, the deployment of the Texas National Guard and state law enforcement under Operation Lone Star has increased manpower and enhanced surveillance capabilities along the border. This can be seen as a direct support to federal missions, especially in areas where federal resources are stretched thin. However, the relationship between state and federal authorities is not without its conflicts. Differences in approach, priorities, and jurisdiction often lead to friction. For instance, the aggressive tactics employed by Texas might conflict with federal strategies that may prioritize broader, more integrated approaches to border security and immigration management. These discrepancies can lead to operational inefficiencies and legal ambiguities, particularly concerning the authority to enforce immigration laws, which traditionally fall under federal jurisdiction. Moreover, the overlap of state and federal operations sometimes leads to questions about the legality and propriety of state actions. Critics of state-led operations argue that they may overstep legal boundaries and infringe on federal authority. There are also concerns about the potential for human rights violations, which could arise from more militarized and aggressive policing methods typically associated with state operations like Operation Lone Star. To navigate these complexities, a concerted effort is needed to synergize state and federal initiatives. This involves clear communication, coordination, and cooperation between all levels of government. Establishing joint command centers, sharing intelligence, and coordinating operational plans are steps that can help align state and federal efforts. Additionally, regular review and adjustment of strategies are essential to ensure that both state and federal objectives are met without compromising legal standards or civil liberties. Ultimately, the role of federal authorities in relation to state initiatives like Operation Lone Star underscores the need for a balanced, effective border security strategy that respects both state and federal responsibilities. It also highlights the ongoing challenges of managing a dynamic and often volatile border situation, requiring adaptive strategies that consider the legal, humanitarian, and security dimensions of border management.